A place to visit this time of the year. And speaking of visiting, Jeff Capel joins us from Pitt. All right, Coach. Last year's over and done with.
Yep.
We've turned a page. It probably feels like a million years ago.
It does now. With the way everything moves now, everything seems like forever ago.
You look at last season, though, and we can start there because a lot of last season is going to be the conversation that is in these rooms here today. I think all of us sitting up here agree. We would have liked to seen you in the NCAA tournament playing your game. First of all, how you handled that with your team and personally, and how you're using that now when you have these conversations.
Yeah, well, it was probably the most difficult thing I've ever experienced as a coach, just from the standpoint, I've never, since I've been a head coach, whether it was VCU, Oklahoma, or here, where we've been on the bubble, and especially on the wrong side of the bubble. And our guys had hope as we watched the show. Like, they were excited, they were giddy, they were hopeful, and as the show went on, to see that hope go away. Yeah. And then once it got down to the end, we knew we weren't in. And so one of the things I told them was that it's not anything that they did or didn't do. This is subjective. This is the way these people chose. We did what we were supposed to do. Sometimes stuff isn't fair, but you were a really good team. We were a really good team, and I was really proud of them and learned from this. And, you know, sometimes in life things happen and you have to move on from it.
Coach, when you joined us during the season, I thought we had a really spirited, wonderful conversation about the Atlantic Coast Conference, its reputation from a men's basketball perspective. And you laid it flat out there. This league has been the standard by which everybody measures itself. It doesn't mean it's the best every single year, but you know what? If you think you're pretty good, how we do against the ACC? Right. And that was during the season.
Yeah.
We get to the end of the deal, and here we go again. 5 ACC teams get in. Everybody says, well, hey, the Mountain Western Conference, yada, 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 and all that nonsense. And then the tournament starts. And here we go again. It has become such a broken record that for all of us that are old school enough, it's like, I don't mean to tell you I told you so, but this doesn't surprise any of us that the ACC continues to kick everybody's rear end when we get to March. At what point in time does that storyline get transferred into the fact that, hey, the talking heads, whether it be on television, whether it be with coaches, whether it be administrators, conference commissioners, whatever the case may be, let's cut the nonsense out regarding ACC men's basketball. This is a premier basketball league.
Well, I think the coaches know. I think not just the ACC coaches, I think coaches around the country know that. I think it's the talking heads. I mean, I really think that's what it is. Unfortunately, we see it in every aspect of life right now, that people get on TV and they spew things. And because they're on TV, because they're loud, they say it with conviction, people believe it. And I think that's what's happening.
When wrong.
And not held accountable when wrong. I mean, you see it in politics, you really see it in everything. And I think that's what's happened. I do think there's a bias. I can't remember if I said this when we were on before. I was the head coach at Oklahoma for 5 years, so I was in the Big 12. Right. When I was out there, I realized how unappreciated that league was, because it was really, really good. Me being an East Coast guy and an ACC guy, I didn't really know that.
And it still is.
It still is.
Yeah.
But what I will say was that there was a bias towards the ACC. It was like fatigue. They were tired of hearing about the ACC. They were tired of hearing about the Big East. It was this whole East Coast thing. And I think that plays into it. I don't think it's any coincidence that once Coach K and Coach Williams retired, we don't have a voice in our league as far as the coaches that have that national voice. So I think all of those things play into it.
Yeah, Jim Boeheim as well. I mean,
Coach Boeheim's
Hall of Fame, all-time great coaches.
All-time greats at places where they have brands. They were brands in themselves, and they represented universities that had a brand.
So how does that change?
Right.
You know, honestly, I don't know.
Will that be discussed in the next couple of days, or is that down the road?
It will be discussed, man, but we discuss it every year. You know, it comes a point where you get tired of it, like there has to be action. And that's where I am right now. I think that's where a lot of the coaches are in our league. Like, we're tired of this false narrative. What are we going to do as a league? And that's not just on us. What are we going to do as a league? The commissioner on down, the ADs, like, what are we going to do to rectify this? Because it needs to be rectified. I mean, we had our 6th place team and our 11th place team in the Elite Eight, one in the Final Four. So it shows you how strong our league is.
And for ACC fans, it was like, well, I'm not surprised. They're really good teams.
No question. No question. And so we're going to, continue to win as a league. We're going to continue to put a great product out there, really good teams, really good coaches, really good atmospheres, and hopefully we start getting the recognition that we deserve.
One of the topics of conversation is also an 18-game conference schedule versus a 20-game conference schedule. And it's been said that when this league went to 20, maybe things shifted because it was alongside going to the net ranking too. Where do you stand on that in 18 versus 20 and potentially maybe going back to 18?
Yeah, well, since I've been a head coach in this league and I've sat in these meetings, I know for the past couple of years, a few of the coaches that have been head coaches for a while have talked about that.
Yeah.
Going back to 18, if you look at it when we were at 18, when we went to 20, each year the number of teams that gets into the tournament. I am for what helps us get more teams in the tournament. Whatever that is. Obviously our league will be different next year with the addition of SMU, Cal, and Stanford. But whatever it's going to take, and I think we need to really give serious thought and have action items after these meetings, and we express what we feel, and whatever is the best thing for us to get more teams, and I think that's what we have to do.
How about the addition of these 3 new teams? Because it is going to be a completely different deal, whether it be basketball, football, you name the sport. We got that Bay Area thing. You got the Metroplex going down in the Big D. What's your initial take for, again, old school ACC? Yeah. And I fall into that category. It's like, wow, this is a whole different league. It's a whole different universe.
Yeah, but we experienced it, back in the, I think it was late 80s, early 90s when there was expansion when Florida State joined.
Right.
That was very, very different. Right. When Maryland left, that was very different. When all these Big E schools came. This is different just because of it's all the way on the left. It's all the way on the West Coast. But it's exciting. You get one of the best brands in all of sports and in academia with Stanford. You have Cal, who's a great school. Mark Madsen's doing a really, really good job there. And then SMU, the Texas area, there's a lot of talent there. Andy Enfield, they have a lot of money. They want to be really good. And so I'm excited just to see what it's going to be. It's something different. And it's going to be exciting to see how it all turns out.
You just mentioned the retirements of Coach K and Coach Williams and Coach Boeheim, and now we got 3 new members coming in. There's always new pieces, maybe some younger head coaches stepping in. So who are the leading voices? And is it you now?
No, it's not me. I haven't won enough. I mean, Tony's won a national championship.
Yeah.
So Tony should be one of the guys. Coach Larinaga been to a Final Four, a couple of them. And so he should be a guy that does that. Obviously, Coach Hamilton, which, for how long he's been at it and the respect nationwide that coaches have for him. Yeah. So I think that, Kevin can be a voice now. He just took a team to the Final Four. But I think collectively as a group, we have to be more together and we have to be demanding of the things that we want and we feel like we need for our league to get the respect that it deserves.
Well, I think that goes back to the media aspect of it too.
Yeah. I think that's a big part of it.
There has to be a sense of a check and balance. And right now, and like you said, we sat here every single day and you go, hey, wait a minute, people are running their mouths and they have no idea what they're talking about. And then when proven wrong after the fact, can't find them.
Yeah.
It's gone. Nobody's going to talk about, hey, that was a league that wasn't as good as the Mountain West Conference. Yeah. Excuse me? In my lifetime, and I've been here now working on 7 decades, that's never been true.
Yeah.
And it wasn't true last year.
No, it's not now.
It won't be true.
And it won't be true.
You're right. Exactly. That's my point.
True. And it's nothing against them.
Right.
It's a really good league. There are a lot of really good leagues, really good teams, really good coaches. And with the state of college athletics and college basketball right now, man, anybody can be good.
That's
know what I mean? Just because of all the transfers, the interconference transfers. I think this is the last year of the COVID year, the extra year. And so there are a lot of different ways for people to be really good now.
By the way, how often do you run across something, whether it be a coach yelling at you down the hallway back at Pitt, or you see something online where you say, oh my gosh, man, player X just transferred from X to Y. I can't even imagine what you guys
It's every day. It's every day. On the flight down here today, you're seeing, and it wasn't in our conference, but a kid made his commitment and they had what estimated NIL that he got.
Right.
And you're looking at it like, my goodness, man.
What are we doing?
So it's a different time, man. It's a really, really different time, really interesting time.
I do want to talk about, you do bring in a couple of transfers. That's the world that we live in. Cam Corrin, Damian Dunn coming from Houston. Cam, of course, from Florida State to Pitt. So one of those interconference transfers, we're seeing a ton of those. Those two added to what you already have. You know, you have Jalen Lowe coming back, who was outstanding, and the twins and a couple of other pieces. What excites you about those two new additions?
Well, I think they fit specific needs for us. I thought we were one of the best offenses in the country last year. We were a top 30 offense. But where we really struggled was our two-point field goal percentage, so finishing around the basket. We were a pretty good offensive rebounding team, but our finishes on offensive rebounds were towards the bottom in the country. Cam in particular, he was in the top 90th percentile in two-point field goal percentage and finishing around the basket offensive rebounds. So he helps us with that. Damian, if you look at his stats, especially from an offensive standpoint, when he was at Temple, he was one of the most efficient scorers. He got to the foul line a lot. And so we feel like that's an area where he can help us, and also provides us an older guard along with Ish. Jalen got unbelievable experience. I thought by the end was one of the better guards in our league.
Yep.
And so I thought we filled specific needs, but I thought probably as important as anything, it was us retaining these guys.
Right.
Getting Ish back, getting Jalen back, getting the twins back, getting Zach Alston back.
Right.
You know, as we headed into the offseason, that was imperative for us. Obviously, we would have loved to have had Bub back, but he turned pro. And so, you know, retaining those guys and then adding the pieces along with some of the freshmen we have coming in, we're really excited about what I think we can be.
Yeah, I think you're going to be good, too.
Yep, we're excited about it.
All right, stay low, keep moving. I know you don't have time for the beach. You got important measures to take care of, and keeping Tony Bennett and the rest of that crew straight in the Benton's basketball office and all that cool stuff. Listen, wish you nothing but the best.
Appreciate it, man.
Always a
Thank you,
pleasure.
guys.
Jeff Capel, right here. Again, we're coming to you live.